Good morning and welcome to Friday with the Rev. I'm Greg Johnson. I'm the president and CEO of GJP International. And my ministry, my focus has been the world of family caregiving. And through these broadcasts, I've had the great privilege of talking to so many of you about family caregiving, faith, and spirituality. And I want to thank each of you for tuning in and being part of this series. As you know, this series was created following my travel last year to Indonesia, where I spent a great deal of time talking to people from many different countries about what they were doing in family caregiving and sharing ideas of things that might be of assistance and help them. And this broadcast series has become the result of that, for it's an opportunity for us to keep in touch, to share, to talk of topics that are really needed as we work with others and we work with ourselves in our own family caregiving journey. So I want to thank you. I also want to mention that this is not in a venue of call-in. I have all to do to turn it on and to turn it off. The thought of doing call-ins is not quite what I'm up to. So last week we had a person who was trying to reach us, and I did speak to them later. But this is not a call-in venue, but it is certainly an opportunity to write to me and to share with me any questions, things that you're doing, things that you find very helpful, things that I may have said that you have seen in a different light. This is a conversation I am learning just as much as I hope you are. This is about sharing the caregiving. And may that be our goal wherever we might be. Here in New York, we're blessed to have a lot of people who are focusing on this topic. But we come together, we share, because each of us is a piece of the puzzle. And pieces of you and pieces of me put us all back together and give us hope. And for that, we're so, so grateful. Now, to make contact, there are two ways, as I tell you each week. One is through Emblem Health, where I serve as the Senior Advisor for Family Caregiving, and that email address is gjohnson@emblemhealth.com. The other way is through Marble Collegiate Church, 5th Avenue and 29th Street, right here in Manhattan. You can reach me there at gjohnson@marblechurch.org. Use either one. I look forward to hearing from you. I've had some wonderful responses this week, some wonderful things being sent. I also want to thank you for the questions that several of you have raised. Peace Be Still, which is the basis on which I have been doing this series. It's a book that was written by Reverend Marion Gambardella and me to deal with family caregiving and to give us prayers and affirmations for us as the caregiver. Now, this morning, our topic is appreciation. Wherever in the world I go, I always begin my talk the same way. If you remember nothing else that I say, I have come to say the two words that family caregivers rarely, if ever, hear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciation is an important part of life. Being thanked, feeling thankful, both of which come together. And so today we're going to talk about appreciation. Appreciation for the gift that is ours as being a caregiver. Appreciation for being able to contribute and do whatever piece we might be doing. And it's also expressing our appreciation to others who are walking with us. So with that, let us take that moment to be still. That moment to go within, to connect with the divine, whatever name you might give that, to the divine within you. The peace of God, that passes all understanding. Let us go within. Let us be still and know that we are not alone. O all-powerful, almighty, all-knowing, and all-loving God, I come to you with gratitude and joy. Thank you for this day and for my care recipient. Thank you for the strength to serve and to care. I pray this day for all of us involved in family caregiving. At times it's overwhelming, frightening, but that is only when I forget you, O Lord. When I pause, breathe deeply, and center myself in your everlasting love, I am at peace, knowing that you can and will solve every difficulty, circumstance, and issue. Walk with me and all family caregivers this day and every day. Help me to feel your divine presence always with me and in me, body, mind, and spirit. Bless all professional caregivers, the doctors, nurses, aides, and all who work in healthcare. Bless their hands, eyes, hearts, and minds in each and every task through which they are called to serve. Help me to help them have the clarity and understanding of my role as a family caregiver. Let us serve in unity and harmony those whom you have given us to serve of love and care. Amen and amen. Now our affirmations from Reverend Marion. I spend each day in appreciation of God's infinite love, freely given and greatly received. As I go about this day, I bless all who cross my path. Today, I take the first step of a new beginning. I am one with the harmonizing love of God. And from Philippians, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And that is true. Before I share a couple of things, I want to just take a look at a few of the phrases that were in this prayer. We began by speaking of gratitude and joy, and immediately that took me to this wonderful book that I've shared with you before, and I'm thrilled that so many of you have written to me and said you have gotten copies and are reading it. In the book of joy, there are 4 pillars of mind and 4 pillars of heart that they talk about. One of them is gratitude, and in it, I loved this phrase. I had noticed, and they're talking about Archbishop Tutu at this point, I had noticed how the Archbishop greets almost every new experience with the word wonderful. And it is indeed that ability to see wonder, surprise, possibility in each experience and each encounter that is the core aspect of joy. And from Brother David Steinel Rust, this quote, "It is not happiness that makes us grateful. It is gratefulness that makes us happy, and from which joy indeed does come. And therein we are able to appreciate." Also in the prayer, we're reminded of who we are. We are caregivers. We are not cure givers. We care. God is entitled and in charge of curing. His will for the highest good is being done. But that's a very important distinction that helps caregivers remember we are there to care, to walk with, to accept things just as they are, and to be present, and to appreciate the present moment. Appreciating not just the big diagnosis or the resolution of an illness, but the small challenges, the turn of a body, the moving of an arm, the taking in of food, sitting up, smiling. Each and every one is growth. And when we, along with our care recipient, can have a moment of appreciation, we will indeed feel gratitude and joy for that moment, for that present, and we move on. But we're strengthened by it. So appreciation is an enormously important word. Also, the prayer concludes talking about professional caregivers. Now, this is something that I have experienced and I have been privileged to do as I have visited people in hospital and a doctor or a nurse happens to be coming in, someone who's going to be doing some surgery, somebody who, whatever their role is going to be. And if it is indeed something of a surgery nature, I have on many occasions invited them to join the care recipient and me in prayer as we gave thanks for that doctor, that nurse, for their hands, for their mind and their heart as they were about to do the surgery. And the bond of love, of the presence of God among all of us, allowed each of us to go about the task that was ours, united in love and care. The physician to do his marvelous work or her marvelous work. The care recipient to be at peace, knowing God's presence was working through and around all. And as the caregiver, to surrender to the procedure that was about to take place. Now, if it's not possible to pray in person with a doctor, with a nurse, with whomever, even when you're going to an appointment, if you feel very confused about, for example, what am I going to say? Am I going to remember all of these things? Unburden yourself for a moment from the list and spend a moment centering yourself, asking the divine within to speak through you, to give you clarity, to help you to ask the questions that are truly needed, and to hear, to listen. Because too often when we speak to people, I'm afraid we are only preparing our next question or answer, as opposed to truly listening. So we need to learn to listen and listen to learn, because in doing that, the very answer that we're concerned about may indeed be present. So appreciation is something very precious, and we can appreciate each and every moment. Now, I found this week a wonderful quote, appreciation from Mr. Rogers, and I want you to hear this. Appreciation is a holy thing, that when we look for what's best in a person, we happen to be with at that moment. We're doing what God does all the time. So in loving and appreciating our neighbor, we're participating in something sacred. And sacred in people, in places, and things. When we can appreciate, we connect with God, we connect with the divine, and we walk together as one. I particularly found that to be a powerful statement. And also, one that I notice in that book of things that successful people do, it's not discussing with people the things they've done wrong and making suggestions of correcting them, but it's noticing things that people have done well, that they've done correctly, stating it, bringing attention to it, appreciating it, and then moving forward. In caregiving, that can be a very valuable tool and something that I would urge you to consider. Find that thing that worked, that thing that someone accomplished, no matter how small it may be. Celebrate it, appreciate it, and use it as a moment of growth and gratitude. Now, before I close today, there is something that I found quite wonderful, and I've posted it on my personal page on Facebook. Gregory Johnson is how you find my personal page, Gregory Johnson. It's entitled 5 Supportive Things to Say to Support Someone Facing Mental Health Challenges. Now, quite frankly, if someone is dealing with physical situation, there is always going to be a mental and an emotional reaction as well as a spiritual, for we are body, mind, and spirit. So while this is written originally for helping to do away with the horrible stigma that so often goes with the word mental health, and that's so wrong, and that's a whole nother program. But I do urge you to listen to these and perhaps look on my Facebook page and make a copy for yourself. 5 supportive things to say. Number 1, I'm here to talk when you need someone to listen. We haven't had a chance to have fun together. Let's go do fill in the blank. Maybe we can walk side by side through this. You are important to a lot of people. I believe in you. 5 very powerful statements that show appreciation, that show love, that show caring. And 5 statements that I believe will bless you and your care recipient. And now I'm going to close the broadcast with something that I have had set up on my cell phone. And knowing technology, I'm only going to hope that it works. So forgive me while I look at it. Good. And it's here. God is telling you today, my child, never forget that I am with you. I am with you in good times and bad times, on mountaintops and valleys, for better or for worse, in joy and in tears, in blessings and in trials. Whatever you are going through, I am right there with you. I hope you can remember every day, every night, every step of the way. I love you. I won't ever leave you. Trust me to take care of you and be faithful in every season. With love, your Heavenly Father. And it is so. Thank you for joining me this morning on Friday with the Rev. And I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless and have a wonderful, wonderful week.